So we are going to assume that you want to enroll your child in the VPK, Voluntary Preschool Program. So to get you started, if you go to the Dickson County Schools website, dcstn.org, and you click on Parents and Students, over on the side, on my side menu, you have Student Enrollment. So if you hit the arrow and drop down Student Enrollment, you have Pre-K enrollment information, and then hit the arrow next to Pre-K enrollment information, and you'll get Voluntary Pre-K Program. So we're going to click on that, and this is all of your information about the VPK program. So we've already kind of talked about what the requirements are and how it's determined as far as your eligibility and who gets, top priority and how all of that works. So I'm just going to show you now how to go into Skyward, set up an account, and how to create an application to enroll your student in the VPK program. So on this page, the VPK page, we're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you have registration. So you have two different options for registration. Option one is you currently have a student enrolled in Dickson County Schools, or option two is you have not had a student enrolled in Dickson County Schools. What this is basically asking you is, do you already have a Skyward account or do you not have a Skyward account? So if you're really not sure, just click the bottom one that you haven't had a previous one, and I'm going to show you why that's going to catch everything else. So I'm going to click on this very bottom link, have not previously had, and it's going to open up an application to create an account. So what I'm going to do, very simply, is just come through and create a sample account. And you see how it has the stars? Those are the required fields, so I'm not going to fill in what's not required. Now, for guardian email address, so you can put in your most common email address, and the way that it is going to read it is if you already have an account set up in Skyward, it's going to catch that and tell you. So just enter in an email and see what happens. If you don't have a Skyward account already, then it'll take you in and you'll be good to go. If you do have a Skyward account already, then it will tell you that, and then you'll follow those directions. So let's pretend like I've never had a Skyward account set up before. And I'm just going to put in my email address. And then they just want a contact phone number, so I'm just going to put in the Board of Education. And I am not a robot. And then I'm going to click here to submit account request. So if you notice, submitting this request says that I don't have an account yet and I want to set one up. So what it's telling me to do is to go into my email, the email I just put in, and verify that account, verify that email address. So that's what I'm going to do. So if I click OK, and OK again, it actually kicks you out because what it wants you to do now is go into your email and verify. So I'm going to come over here in my email, and I should have, when I refresh, an email from Skyward asking me to verify my email address. So now if you see in my inbox, I have an email from Skyward. So when I open up this Skyward email, it's going to tell me what my login information is, what my email is, and then it's also going to give me a temporary password. So now I go back on my Skyward login page, and I'm going to use this as my username, and then I'm going to enter this password. So I'm going to come back onto Skyward, enter this as my username, and then I'm going to enter in my password. And then it takes me in. So if you do not currently have a Skyward account, that is how you're going to get in. So you just are basically setting up an account and verifying it with your email address. So now let me show you how it's going to react if you do have a Skyward account. So if I go right back to the same page and I click this second link that I don't have a Skyward account, so now when I put in this email address is already linked to an account in Skyward. So now I'm getting an enrollment not submitted error message saying that it can't be processed because I already have an account, which is totally fine. If you already have an account, then try to log in with that account. So when you get this error message, if you already have an account, then you would go back to the Voluntary Pre-K program page, come back to Parents and Students, and on this Parents and Students page, right here at the top under Education Resources is Skyward Family Access Login. So if you click on that, then we're going to go ahead and try to log in using that email that they said you already have an account for. So if you have set up this account before, but it's been years and you can't remember what the password is, don't worry about that. All you have to do is come down here to Forgot Your Login and Password, and if you click on that, it's going to ask for your email again, and then you click I am not a robot and submit, and what it will do is it will send you a code to get into Skyward to your email address. So now when I come back to that email address, I should have a second email from Skyward. All right, and as you can see, Skyward has sent me this email, but it doesn't say Skyward, it says do not reply. That is going to be your password reset email. So if you click on this Forgotten Login Password Assistance, it's going to give you a password to use to get in, which is this number right here, or whatever number they give you. So now I should be able to come back to my Skyward login page and put in the email address and the password and get in. So when you log in, if you are starting a brand new application, once you log in, your page will look like this. And it's a pop-up window, so please know that anytime that you X out of this, you'll have to get all the way back into Skyward again. So you don't want to use the X to get out. You'll want to use exit or something else because this is a pop-up window. So I'm going to go ahead and make this big so you can see it. But this is the application form, and this is what it will look like. So it has all these different sections, and each section is called a step. So step 1 is your student information. So you'll go through, and all of the stars are required information, and you'll go through and fill out all of the required information. So please make sure that these two things are checked. Right here where it says enrollment for all other grades, right now it's highlighted for current school year. You are enrolling for next school year. So make sure that you select next school year, and then the start date would be the first day of school. And that will autofill right here. And then the second thing that you want to check for is expected grade level. So if your child is entering the VPK program, it will need to be P4, preschool 4, because your child will be 4 years old when they enter the VPK program. And then expected school to enroll in is your zoned school. So if you don't know what your zoned school is, you can click this Dickson County Schools zoning search, and it will tell you. You put in your address, and it will tell you. But let's say, for sake of argument, that it's Oakmont, and you will select that zoned school that you're enrolling in. And then all of these down here are different permissions that you are giving the school. For example, can they use the computer? Is it okay to get on the internet? Do you have internet at home? All of those sorts of questions. So once you read through these questions, every time that you complete a step, you're going to have two options at the bottom. Complete step 1 and move to step 2, which means that it's going to save what you've done in step 1 so far and move you on to step 2. Complete step 1 only, it's going to save what you've done in step 2 and it's going to kick you out. So we want to keep filling in this information. So I'm going to click complete step 1 and move to step 2. And it's going to kind of, I left all of that stuff blank. So I'm going to show you in a different account because where I actually filled in all of that information. So I'm just going to switch accounts really quickly. So as you can see, on this account, I've already done step 1 information. I've done step 2 information. I've completed step 3's information and step 4's information. And the way that I know that I've completed everything, all of the required fields, is that it has a check mark. In order to get this check mark, you have to go through at the bottom and say complete and move to the next step. You have to mark one of these in order to get this check mark and then be able to submit your application later. So please make sure that you are checking those. So now, if I go on to step 2, step 2's been filled out. I can go on to step 3. Step 3 has been filled out. I can go on to step 4. My step 4 information has been filled out. And now I want to complete step 4 and move on to step 5. And I'm going to take some time with step 5, and here's why. Step 5 is where you enter in your documentation for your students' enrollment. So with the VPK program, the main thing that's going to get you the highest priority is income-based. So the major document that you're going to want to load and make sure you have in this application is your tax information. Because if you go ahead and load that in to this program on the computer, your application is going to be processed much, much faster, which means that your child's going to get a seat in the pre-K program much, much faster. So as many of these documents as you can put into this computer, the better. It's going to speed up your application. However, if for some reason you cannot do this on the computer, it is okay to take the documents to the school and make hard copies. That's okay. But I'm highly encouraging you to do it on the computer. And I'm going to show you the easiest way to do this. It's really, really not so bad, I promise. If you have a phone that gets on the internet, you can do this lickety-split. So I'm going to switch over onto the phone and show you how to upload documents really quickly and easily to this program. I am now on my smartphone, and this one in particular is an iPhone, but the steps should be exactly the same for an Android phone. So first what you do is you go on the Dickson County Schools website, dcstn.org, and just like you would on a computer, you're going to go to menu and you're going to click Parents and Students, and then scroll down under Education Resources and click that first link, Skyward Family Access Login. And now you're going to use your login information to log in, just like you did on the computer. Okay, once you log in, you're going to have this screen come up that has review and update the application. Please make sure you do not click cancel this application, because if you do, it's going to delete your application. So what we're going to do is we're going to review and update the application. And within the application, we've already done step 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now we're going to come down to step 5, and that's what we're going to want to edit, because we're going to want to put in those documents. So we're going to go step 5, edit. Now, under this step 5, you have all of these different document names. Now, if you're not sure what goes with what, up here at the top, it tells you like what proof of documents that are required. So, for example, the child's age is their birth certificate, the health certificate, the physical examination. Those are all documents that you need to upload to this if at all possible. And if not, you can carry the hard copies to the school. So I'm going to, because I want my student to have top priority for seats in a pre-K program, the main thing I want to focus on is the income eligibility document, which is right down here as 7D. And next to it, if you see where it says choose file, all I'm going to do is click choose file. and I have not already taken a picture of my document, I'm going to take a picture of my document. So I'm going to click Take Photo or Video. And let's pretend this is my tax information or some sort of documentation about my yearly income. And I would simply hold the phone, take the picture, and then say Use Photo. And it's actually going to insert that documentation into this application for me. And that's all I had to do. So that is the income eligibility document. Now I want the child's age document, which would very likely be your birth certificate. So I would come up here to where it says proof of child's age, and I would again click Choose File, Take Photo, and let's pretend this is the child's birth certificate. You simply take a picture of it, use the photo, and again, it's inserting it into the application. And that's all you have to do. And now everybody has that required documentation so that your child can apply for the pre-K program. And again, the more that you put documents into this computer program, the faster and easier it is to process your application, which means you're going to be getting seats in a pre-K program quicker. However, again, let me say, if for some reason you cannot put the documents into the computer or use your phone to get them into the online application, then you are allowed to take hard copies to the school. But this is really the best way to do it, is with your phone and through the Skyward process. So once those are uploaded, and I would go through and do, your proof of residency, your utility bill, all of those things, then you can just take a picture and it will just insert it into that application for you so that everybody has your information to process the application. So now that I've done, let's pretend I've done all of my documentation. I put it all in there. So now I'm pretty much done on my phone because that was the part I really needed. So it's actually easier to complete the rest of the application on the computer, but you could keep going on the phone. It's just a little bit smaller and a little bit harder to manipulate. So I am actually going to go back to the computer and keep going. Okay, so now I've logged back into Skyward on the computer so that I can finish the application. So you'll go back to the summary page and it'll say review and update the application. So that's what I want to do. And notice it gives me this red warning that says all steps have not been completed. And we know that because we still have to complete step 6. So if I come to review and update the application, you can see that step 1 has been completed with the check, step 2 has been completed, step 3 has been completed, step 4 has been completed. Now, I went in and told it that I completed step 5 only when I left the phone. But even if you didn't, the way to get that check mark on step 5 is to click complete step 5 and move to step 6 or complete step 5. You have to mark step 5 as completed before it will give you that check mark and mark it as finished so that you can submit your application. So if you notice, I did not load all of this paperwork, but I would very, very much encourage you to do so on the phone. So I would load all of this in. But again, if for some reason you can't do it on the computer, you can take hard copies. But even if you do take hard copies, you still have to call this step 5 complete. So complete step 5 and move to step 6 is how you're going to get that check mark over to the side that will allow you to submit the application. It's very important that you do that. So now the last step of the application process is the district forms. So each one of these orange buttons is a different form that you have to fill out for the district in order to be enrolled. So you will have to go through for each one of these forms and fill them out. Now, the red starred ones are required. If you don't fill out that form and mark it as complete, then they will not process your application. So, for example, disclosure of prior criminal record. When you come into this, you have to complete the required parts. So your student has not been convicted of a felony, and when you type in your name here, you are electronically signing that form. So you'll need to sign it and you'll need to date it. and then any other information you need to add. So before you do anything else, you have to come up to the right-hand corner and click Save. That is how it's going to save that information into that particular form. And when you click Save and have filled out all the information, it will mark that form as completed. So then you would come to the next one and complete it and click Save, and the next one and complete it and click Save. So once you have gone through and done all of these forms, and all of these forms have that blue check mark and say green completed, and you're sure that all of the information in the previous steps and all of your documentation, all of that has been done, then you can submit the application. Once you submit the application to the district using this button down here, you cannot go back in and make changes. However, until you submit this application button, you can go back in and make changes. So even if I click complete step 6, which it's not going to let me because I did not do any of these, but even if you complete step 6, unless you submit the application, you could come in the next day and make changes. But once you submit the application, it's locked, it's done, you can't change anything. And until you click this submit application, they're not going to receive it. So this is you literally turning in the application to the people who make the decisions about pre-K. So please, please make sure that all of your information is completed with the check marks and that you also have submitted. And then your application will go to the board and they will make decisions about your child's placement in the VPK program. I hope that this has helped you. If you have any questions, please call your school because they are more likely going to have specific answers for you. And we hope you have a great school year. Thank you so much.